I'm here at Pete Cycle picking up my Rebel 1100 from its 600-mile initial service, so we're going to hop on and try to beat the rain so we can talk about what they had to fix on it during the service, what all they did, how much it cost, and what I've had to fix before I even brought it in.
Perfect.
There's Sean. He's the man to come see here. Shout out Pete Cycle for always treating me right and helping out with my bikes. Alright, so I don't really know where I am, so let's just go down one of these side roads and kind of explore while we talk about things. Alright, so 600-mile service. What does that entail? So first of all, it's a 600-mile service. I'm at 941 miles, so I waited a little bit longer than I should have, although it's not always easy to get in right away. Essentially, all the 600-mile service is a glorified oil change and making sure that everything with the bike is exactly how it should be. So they do an oil change and then they go through, and the biggest part of it is just checking every single nut and bolt to make sure that nothing came loose. This is a dead end. Let's turn around here. Alright, so like I was saying, essentially it's just a glorified oil change. They change the oil filter, make sure that everything looks good, and then one of the biggest parts is just making sure that everything is in spec. So they go through the bike, they check all of the nuts and bolts, make sure that everything's torqued down exactly as it's meant to, check all the cables, make sure that they're good, lube all the pivot points, and just make sure that everything's kind of in tip-top shape. Now obviously that's something that they do before you even get the bike, but once you put in that first 600 miles, of course there's lots of different vibrations from the road and going over bumps and actually using the bike that kind of changes things and can loosen up bolts, so that's why they come through and just double check everything. Now aside from that, obviously if anything on the bike is broken or is out of order already, they go through and kind of straighten all that up for you. In my case, the bike did have some damage from shipping, so they had to repair that also while they had it. So essentially my bike got tipped over during shipping. This is an issue that lots of different people have had with the Rebel 1100, and fortunately mine seemed to have made it out pretty mildly damaged compared to some other people. I've seen some bikes that were just totally tipped over in shipping and destroyed and they had to wait for another bike. Mine just had like a messed up bar end, a messed up lever, and a messed up foot pedal. All of it was actually fixed before I took delivery of the bike, except for the foot pedal because it was on back order through Honda. So essentially all that I did was I just waited until that came in so I could get my service done at the same time as that and not have to make 2 trips up here since it's like 45 minutes from where I live. Alright, I think we're kind of in the hood now, so I don't know if this is the best place to explore and do a video with a $400 camera strapped to my head, but you know, the hood loves me, so it's fine. Alright, so like I was saying, they replaced the foot pedal, shifter, lever, whatever the fancy real name is for that. It was bent. They had bent it back so that it was usable, but I still wanted a new one, so they went ahead and handled that for me. And then when they looked over the bike, they said that everything looked good. I did have them look over the front end and make sure that everything was specifically torqued down up there because of the video that I'm sure you guys have seen where I was getting on it and above like 85 miles per hour, if you have it opened up, the front end gets a little bit loose. I realized that it only really does it when I have my phone up here because the wind catches this and kind of shifts the bars a little bit, but I still wanted them to take a look at that, and they said that everything was within spec. So I guess it's just something about these bikes, you know, it's a cruiser. It's not meant to be hauling ass, but I want it to. But I'm glad to know that everything up there is good to go. And then also I pointed out to them that the pinch bolts up front that hold the axle in, where they meet up with the black forks, the paint was chipping off, and I noticed that it was doing it a little bit on another Rebel 1100 that I saw, so it's definitely not just mine. And when they looked at it, they were like, yeah, it's kind of weird because every bike that we've seen, even that it has black fork lowers, it's polished on the face where the nut or the bolt, whatever, meets up with it so that it doesn't chip off, but obviously this one is. So he's like, yeah, I don't know if like the next model year Rebel they'll have it polished there, or like maybe whenever you need a tire change we could just polish it for you so it doesn't chip off. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal to me, so I'm just gonna kind of let it be. If it starts looking real ugly, then we'll address it, but for now it's fine. Now aside from all of that they did at the 600-mile service, there was some work that I had to do to the bike before the 600-mile service. So on the same side where the whatever lever that's called, I don't know, I'm brain farting today, but that lever, the side that it was bent, this entire bracket was super loose. The 2 bolts that hold it on, I went to tighten them down and it was like a full 360 turn before it was like tight again. I'm assuming that when the bike was dropped in shipping that it kind of knocked those loose, and then as I rode more and more it kind of wiggled and backed them out a little bit more, but I tightened that down and that's good to go. I haven't had any issues with it since then. So essentially I'm almost 1,000 miles in. By by the time that I get back home from this ride, I'll be at 1,000 miles, and so far, smooth sailing. Nothing major came up during the inspection. Everything was good to go. All I've had to do is tighten down 2 bolts, and they replaced that shift lever with no issue. So I am a happy camper. I freaking love this bike so far. All right, now the question that I'm sure everyone is wondering, how much did that glorified oil job actually cost you? I've heard people say anywhere from theirs costing $100 up to theirs costing $350, and everyone's like, dude, it's pretty much an oil change, and then they just look at your bike. Oh, here comes a fire truck. Let me pull out of the way. Okay, thank you. Sheesh, what is going on, dude? Okay, so as I was saying, sorry I'm getting a little distracted. I have no idea where I am, other than I'm pretty sure the hood. I think I sold a house down there one time, and there was like a shooting around the corner from it. So anyway, as I was saying, costs have ranged anywhere from like $100, $150 all the way up to like $350 or $400. And mine ended up costing me $240. I want to say 246, something around 240. So is that extremely overpriced for an oil change? Absolutely. But is it overpriced for having peace of mind knowing that somebody went over every nut and bolt and cable and pivot point on your bike to make sure that it was good to go for you? Absolutely not. The peace of mind is well worth it. And now I don't have any service intervals for a while, so this is the part where it's fun, where you just get to ride the bike and not worry about it. And I can start doing wheelies on it and not feel like I'm abusing it because I haven't even done an oil change yet. So even though we're at 944 miles, this is where the real fun sets in. Not to say that I haven't had real fun with it, because it's been an absolute freaking blast. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled, because things are about to get silly on the channel. Yeah, come right over. So anyway, that's all I got for you today. Just doing a quick little check-in, letting you guys know what the 600-mile service was like. It only took me like 2.5, 3 hours for it to get done, and it was super convenient because I got tattooed the whole time. I went to a tattoo shop that was like 20 minutes away, got work done the whole time. So it was an expensive day, but it was a fun day. And yeah, there it is, 945 miles now. Just got the first service done. That's a little insight into it, how much it's going to cost, all that kind of good stuff. She's ready to rock, ready to have fun, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Love you. Peace.